We are about to embark on an immersive journey through the corridors of our minds. Stand by as we prepare for departure.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to the Productivity with Peace of Mind podcast adventure. Our journey will begin in just a moment. Inhale deeply and exhale. Our voyage takes us on a captivating tour, diving deep into the intricate layers of our thoughts and imagination. Brace yourselves for the complexities of our evolution. For a safe and enjoyable journey, stay seated. Secure your helmet and protective goggles, and keep hands, feet, and legs inside while the ride is moving. Now relax and enjoy.
Today we have with us Karen Karps. She is the owner of Guppy Fish Web Design and has an expertise in creating websites that act as valuable, tireless employees for our businesses. She has experience in automating processes to save time and increase efficiency. And I'm a big fan of automation. So I am super excited to have you here and share with us your wisdom, Karen. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. Thank you so much for having me. I'm kind of on a mission to preach to the masses that your website should be like an employee. It's the only part of your organization that never sleeps, it never gets sick, it never goes on vacation, and even you can't say that, as a business owner. I absolutely get completely jazzed about helping people meet their goals using their web presence. So.
Yeah. And you talk about automation, kind of being this game changer for our businesses. And I know I'm a big advocate that I think automation can fit everywhere in our lives, right? Like in careers, at home, even like in our personal lives. And so can you start by explaining just to us the basics of automation and why that can be so powerful? Like why is that so helpful for us?
Um, the basics, anything that you can put on autopilot is automation. And yeah, you can do that in your home life. You can do that with your to-do list. You can have things that automatically pop up on your to-do list every day or every week on a certain day and time. You can, so that they don't get forgotten. From a business perspective, when I first started to go down the automation rabbit hole, if you will, um, and started really applying it to my business and specifically to the client journey, it saved me so much time that it was like I hired an assistant to do those
Yeah.
things. And it also it makes you look like you have your together, your stuff together. Even
Yeah.
if, I'm a mom. I am a mom and a business owner. I have
Yeah.
kids. A kid will get strep throat. A kid will need to be picked up from school. Somebody, everyone has to be someplace all the time. And with the automation, I know that some of these things, even if my personal life is a hot mess, I know that these really important communications are getting out, and it makes me look more professional.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I remember when we were planning this episode, you and I talked about the importance of the follow-up. And
Mm.
we talked about like when you set those things in place, it really does look like we talked about how people tell us like, wow, like you remember everything or you're so thorough, but really it's just our systems in place, right? So can you tell us a little bit more about that and like how, automation plays a role in our follow-up and kind of that follow through and how we can set that up?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I've done this. I'm pretty sure anyone with a pulse has probably done this, where you send something out like a proposal to a prospective client, and you send it out, and then that's it. That's all you do. And you get busy and they get busy, and enough time passes that you're like, oh my gosh, I never got back with them. I never asked them if they had questions. I never did that. And maybe all they needed was that little nudge. Maybe they got busy too and they forgot, and they're thinking the same thing. Like, so much time has passed, it would be super awkward for me to follow up now. So what I have in place is when I send a proposal, I log into my email platform and I just put like a one-word tag on that person that I sent the proposal. And I have emails that automatically go out a couple of days later. Do you have any questions? A couple of days after that, would you like a walkthrough? And then, by the end of it, it really it spans out. They're not every day. I mean, I'm not bugging people or anything. And they're usually one or two sentences, because sometimes that's all a person needs. They had every intention of following up with you, but they got busy too. And they see that email in their inbox and they're like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, let me talk to who I need to talk to about this proposal and get back with her. So and again, I am living my life doing all of the busy mom things and business owner things, and those emails are just happening. So it really keeps things from falling through the cracks.
Yeah. And so when you have those emails scheduled out, is it something like if they don't respond, then this goes out, and then if they respond, it doesn't, kind of a thing?
Yes, I always have like something that I apply, like if they were to accept the proposal or fill out the form I needed
Yeah.
to, or set the appointment or whatever it was that the goal is for that automation. I
Yeah.
always have it set to pull them out of the automation, because nobody wants to continue to get
Yeah.
emails for something that they've already done. That's just obnoxious. So
Right.
so yeah, that's a really important step.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. And I think even for those of us, who are in, corporate careers and things like that, where we're dealing with different teams and different things, like even if you look at like managing a project, like, and I don't have sometimes I do scheduled emails. Sometimes I'll just do like a 15-minute, block on my calendar. And I think that, I was just kind of curious, like what you thought about for that kind of thing, like setting reminders. Is that what you would do, is set it in your calendar, like follow up with this person? Or would you also set up something like that, in say like kind of the career setting as well?
Well, I mean, it really depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, a calendar reminder is a great, wonderful thing. Just a little ping, hey, don't forget this. But you can set up all kinds of things. I know people who run larger businesses and have a team. You can set up onboarding emails for that new employee that lays out, maybe
Yeah.
starting a few days before that new employee starts. This is what you can expect when you come in on your first day. This is the procedure for this common task that we do. Just laying out all those things, and then you and that new person feel so much more comfortable. Um, feel so much more comfortable just doing whatever it is that the task is and hitting the ground running. I also set them up for when I'm getting ready to start a client project, to
Mhm.
go out to the person. I'll start it. I have a 5-day series. It doesn't have to be 5 days. And I have super short, bite-sized things that they receive every day for 5 days. Like, here is how we will communicate. Here are some answers to some frequently asked questions. This is, this is the project management tool that I use. And here's a cool little video that you can use, or a tutorial to get yourself familiar with it before we get started. And I have so many clients who tell me I felt so prepared for this.
Oh,
So, and the same thing happens for meetings. If there's a meeting that you routinely have with a new hire, or with your team, or with a new client or whoever, send meeting prep emails. Just tag them in your system. The emails go out automatically. I have ones that I send out for meetings that are like, this is what to bring. This is what to think about beforehand.
yes.
Here's here is or podcast interviews, or if you're doing a blog and you have someone on that you're getting ready to interview for your blog, here is an example of the questions that I'm going to ask you. So they feel prepared, you feel prepared, and everybody looks like they have their stuff together. So
Yeah.
it's really, really helpful just to put some of these things on autopilot. So then you can spend your time doing what you like doing, not writing the same daggum emails 897 times.
Right. And having to remember to do that, right? Because like once it's scheduled, it's done.
Right.
Like even for, projects, I mean, we have a team that does our comms in my career, but like, having all those emails written out ahead of time so that you're not having to be like, okay, this week, this month, I got to write that email. Like just knowing like, okay, for this whole project, like these are all written, you can pass that on and it's ready to go. And then I
And
was also,
even if you aren't emailing, even if you aren't scheduling them to send out automatically,
yeah,
you can just use Google and set,
yeah.
you can save emails as templates.
Hmm.
And, and it can be dear insert name here.
Yeah.
Here's the proposal we talked about. Here's the whatever we talked about. Whatever it is you always say to that person, you can edit just a few words of it to make it more relevant to that situation, but you don't have to write it every time. Write it once, set it and
Yes.
forget it. I kind of call it like slow cooker,
I
Mark.
like that. Yeah.
Like you set it for your dinner in the morning, you turn it on, and your dinner is ready when you get home. It's very simple.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love that. And I was also thinking about, even like, let's say somebody says, oh, in a month I have this medical appointment and I'm not sure about it. Or, someone's birthday or anniversary, or, something like big is happening in their life. Like you could even write an email or a message and have that scheduled so that on that day they're getting that thought. You just thought about it ahead of time and you don't have to remember, oh yeah, that day I got to like reach out to that person and ask them how that went, even things like that, just that the human touch.
yeah, oh, absolutely. The human touch is huge. I mean, I have a few things that I do actually that kind of and this is something that you could do for friends, for family, for whatever. One thing that I do is a little bit of a hack, I guess. I'll set up Google alerts for client names or for people that I've worked with or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll get a little thing in my inbox that says, this medical practice was recognized as one of the best in the area, or this person received an award. So anything that happens with that person, I'll get a little alert,
Yeah.
and I'll just drop them a quick. It takes me hardly any time. I drop them a quick, hey, I saw you won this award, that is so exciting, congratulations, the
Yeah.
end. And so many people have been like, thank you so much. For it's usually a surprise to those people, but it does so much just to keep those relationships intact.
That's so cool. I love that idea of like the recognition piece too, of like, hey,
Yeah.
someone's watching. Someone's like, celebrating my wins, big or small, like someone cares.
Someone, they feel seen, and that is so
Yeah.
important. They feel seen, they feel like somebody is paying attention to them, and that's really a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's super cool. And then, when we look at like our day-to-day lives and, big part of this podcast is productivity. And so, we can automate, we talked about how to automate like our life in a sense to save more time. So how can we automate or put in automations to help us manage some of our, day-to-day tasks and things that we have to do on a regular basis? Maybe it's daily, weekly, etc. How do we do that to get more time back?
Well, one thing, I use Trello. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Uh-huh.
It's just like basically having a great big whiteboard that has lists on it, and you can move things around on it, but you can set up recurring things on that. And so like I have certain things that show up on the first of the month automatically on there,
Nice.
and then I don't forget to do them.
Yes.
You can also almost always find a way to connect one thing to another. If you're familiar with Zapier,
Mhm.
that's one way that you can do that.
Those system integrations.
Yes, absolutely. My favorite thing that I do though is Trello and Gmail. I do all of my email, personal and business. I just route all of my business email through Gmail so that it all goes to one place, because I
Uh-huh.
can't remember to check 47 inboxes. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
We all have to know our limits, and that is one of mine. But the Trello has an integration that works directly in Gmail. And all I have to do is open an email. If a client sends me an email and says, hey, could you update this on my website? Or could you post this? Or could you do whatever? I have a button next to the email, literally, that I click, and it sends that item to Trello over to my to-do list. And that
Nice.
keeps me, because it's so easy to see something in your inbox and be like, yep, that needs to get done, and then close it and then forget that you even had it. So I use my
Wow.
email to populate my to-do list in that way, and things do not fall through the cracks that way.
That is super cool. I love that. Well, and it just keeps you so in line so that the system is working for you versus you working for the system, which I think is opposite of what a lot of people end up doing in their
Yeah,
day-to-day.
absolutely.
And how, let's talk about the importance of like planning ahead. Like I'm a big advocate of planning, right? And so how does planning ahead and setting up these systems for ourselves help in making our automations more effective?
Um, I'm not gonna lie, it can seem, when you start to do this, like for example, when I did my whole customer journey, right?
Yeah.
That seems really intimidating. Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
I was a teacher for 12 years before I started doing this. And what a lot of people don't realize about teachers is they don't always know all of everything that they're going to teach. But it's important to stay a few days at least ahead of the students. So you don't have to learn everything at once. You kind of learn things as you need them. Um, choose a task, like in that customer journey. If you have one person who is, you're getting ready to send the qualification email, that's the time you set up the automation for it. So now you've set it up for that one person, and it's going to apply to everyone after that. You don't
Yeah.
have to do it all at once. Teeny tiny bite-sized things. And then when that person moves to the stage where they need to schedule a sales meeting, then automate that part when that person needs it. Okay. So just stay a few days ahead of where you need to be. It doesn't have to be, it's like decluttering or organizing or anything like that. It's gonna take some time, but if you take bite-sized pieces, then those things are gonna add up. And before you realize it, you have all of these systems in place.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love making it bite size and manageable, and then also staying ahead. Like, I am such a huge advocate of that, like being a few steps ahead of yourself, because that's where the peace of mind piece comes in. Where it's like, if you're right on top of the deadline all the time, you're just like, right, just that energy. You're like, oh, I gotta get it all done, and I'm behind, and what am I gonna do? And what if I miss something? What if something comes up? But if you're a few days ahead, you're like, I've got time, I have a buffer. If something comes up, I'm taken care of
That's
by
exactly
myself.
right.
Yeah.
One thing I've started to do to that end is batching my time in my
Yes.
calendar. I do have a VA now, which has been amazing. And she will put times on my calendar like, Karen, this needs to get done. And I have blocked out the time on your calendar to do it.
Yeah.
Um, and this is the time when I work on blog posts, and I'll spend that whole 2 hours, and I can work on several posts, or I can work on one, or I can, so blocking out that time ahead of time and treating yourself as a client.
Yeah.
Okay. You wouldn't not do it for a client, so you can't not do it for yourself, if that
Yeah.
makes sense, which is
Yeah.
really easy to practice, or to really easy to preach, not as easy to
Right.
practice.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
you've got to do it, because then you do buy yourself that time for, again, when you have that emergency, when you have a sick family member, when, then you're like, okay, well, at least this, I know that this is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And, when we talk about, like kind of the follow through and building those connections and, the people piece, how can we use automation to kind of like build that rapport and also set really clear communication expectations, either with clients or with our teams at work? How can we set that up?
Yeah, that's one of the best uses, I think.
Yeah.
For example, in that onboarding,
Mhm.
series that I was talking about, the new
Yep.
client onboarding,
Yeah.
it's very like, this is how to communicate. These are the hours during which I will respond, and you have that before you even get started. You have that set. Another one of those small emails I have is, this is how to provide feedback on, if we're doing a web design project, for example. This is how I'll let you know that, a certain page is ready for your approval. Please don't look at it before that point and then try to tell me what's wrong with it, because chances are I know that and I'm already fixing it. That's in the email. Because
Yeah.
I've had that happen. Like, I'm working on a page, I've got elements on it that are wonky. That is a technical term, by the way, wonky. Um, I've got elements on it that are wonky. I'm working on figuring it out. Don't email me and say this doesn't look right. I
Yeah.
know. So part of that onboarding series is, I'll let you know when I'm ready for you to approve it. And please, if you don't mind, not sending feedback until that point. So,
Yeah.
so all of those little details that you've kind of, the boundaries that you have set before you even get started. Same thing goes with, um, again, if you have that new employee, that new team member, that, this is when you can text me with a problem, or this is if you're having a technical issue, if your computer isn't working, whatever problem often comes up, you can tell them right away, this is how to, save this email so that you have this information. But, this is the process that we use. Here's the form you need to fill out for IT. Here's, whatever. You can, but also you can do that with your kids, with your family. I
Yeah.
mean, you have boundaries in place, and like my kids know nothing gets plopped on mom's desk unless it's a form that needs to be signed.
Yeah.
And that's not automation, it's just practicing procedures, and that's something I guess I brought from the classroom. But
Yeah.
it's just practicing procedures and letting people know what your expectations are in a kind way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also sounds like it's important to like really communicate your procedure and practices of how you do things, because then you're avoiding all that time later, which is in a sense almost just like a human automation. It's like an automation of ourselves, right? It's not a, you know, system automation, but you're
Right.
saying like now we're going to avoid all this back and forth later, or awkward boundary setting that, you know, we maybe didn't need to have because that was communicated so clearly up front. Like you thought through the whole process from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Play the tape to the end. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm old, so tape. Yes, did listen to tapes in my life.
Yes, I did too. Yes.
Right? Play
Yeah.
the album. How's that? Play the album to the end.
Yeah.
What do in your head, play it to the end. What are the
Yeah.
possible outcomes? What are the
Yeah.
possible problems? And tackle them before they even happen.
Yeah. And I know like in today's world, like things are busy and chaotic and there's so much going on and it can feel easy to, I guess, feel out of control, either of our life or of ourselves or our business or our work or whatever we're dealing with, right? Maybe it's our family. And how can we like how can automation and really finding ways to apply this to our own lives and work help us maintain that sense of control and organization in kind of this, you know, busy world that we're in?
Well, I mean, I don't know a single person who doesn't describe themselves as busy. I just don't. I think that, and for example, let's say that I've just in my situation, let's
Yeah.
say that I have finished a web design project, and I get busy with the next one, or with other clients that I'm dealing with and all of that. And I realized that I never asked that person for a testimonial. And it was a really good project. And I know that they
Yeah.
would give me a great testimonial, but I just didn't do it. Right.
Yeah.
So that's another series that I have actually. When I finish a project, I apply that tag to the person, and I have emails that are set up like a week later. It's I have something with called punch list that a lot of times that construction workers use,
Yep.
where
Yep.
after the project is done, you have a week to
Yep.
find, for me, it's a week. You have to find minor things that we missed or anything like
Yeah.
that I will fix for you. Not, I mean, we're not adding a page or doing anything crazy, but
Yeah.
just like,
Tweaks.
well, oh, I found a typo, or
Yeah.
so I have an I send them the thing. after the website launches, I apply the tag, and then it tells them, they get an email that says, congratulations on your new website. And explaining the punch list process. So that's kind of setting that boundary, like, these are the things, if you have a week, then in 6 days, they get an email that says, tomorrow's the last day of your punch day period. So if you haven't taken a look to make sure that you have everything given to me, tomorrow's the last day that you can do that. Then in a couple weeks, it'll ask them, or, in about a week, it'll ask them, how are things going with your new website? What successes have you had? What comments have you had? And then a few days after that, they get one that said, I really loved working with you and the project that we did together. I would love it if you would write me a testimonial. So I don't have to remember to ask for them anymore. It just happens. And then there are a few, actually, it's actually a year-long series. Yes, it involved math for me to figure out, okay, how many days later after this email does this email come? But, we'll do what we have to do. The last one they get exactly a year after their website posted. And throughout the year, they're getting things like, hey, here's a blog post I thought you might find interesting. Or here's a tip for making the most out of your new website. Or
cool.
Just so that they're not forgetting that you exist.
Yeah.
The last email they get exactly a year is happy birthday to your website.
Oh, I love that.
So, and that's, and again, that's one of those things that people will email me back and be like, I had no idea it had been a year already.
Yeah.
Or, gosh, it's only been a year. I feel like I've had this website forever now, because it's helping me so much, or it's doing so. And again, it's just set to happen, it's just set. And if you can block out an hour and write a few of those emails, then the number of hours that you're saving later is, I can't even express. I figured it out. And with the client journey that I've emailed or that I've set up, I save probably about 5 hours per client.
Wow.
Like I sat down and added up, okay, the time it would take me to write this email, this email. It's about, from the time that they go from qualification to project completion, the automated system saved me approximately 5 hours per client. And that might be on the low side.
Yeah.
It boggled my mind when I realized that, which again is why I'm like, I need to preach automation to the masses, because it's such a huge help.
Right. Yeah. And like, I find that too, like anytime if I go into like a process or a team or a project or something where I'm like, okay, we need to, simplify this, automate it, streamline it, make it better. A lot of times it does take a lot more work in the beginning to gather all the breadcrumbs, do all the legwork, right? Like write those templates, get all that done, make sure that you're being intentional about the process. But then once you do that initial legwork, it takes off and it's so simple, so easy. All of a sudden, like you just have all this time back and it's like, wow, were we really being this tedious?
Right. Or, I mean, even if you just automate things like where things go in your pantry,
Yeah.
like if you have kitchen cupboards that are just a super giant mess, how much time are you spending looking for that particular spice every time you need it? Or
Yes.
do you see what I'm saying?
Or an outfit.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So if you think about it, how long it's going to take you it might take you an afternoon to pull everything out of your pantry, get rid of what you don't need, and organize what's left. And then, but how long does it take you after that to make sure everything always goes back in that one spot every time, so that and now, how much time are you saving not going, where was that? I mean,
Yeah.
it's that few hours that you're going to spend doing that one task is going to really pay off down the line.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's so good. I love it. I mean, I agree. I think it could just be applied to just about everything in our life and our work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
If
I
I could
know
just make my kids get that. I've had this conversation, especially with my youngest, like, sweetheart, it does not take you any longer to put the clothes in the hamper than it does to put them on the floor. However, when you have a whole ton of clothes on your floor, it takes you a long time to pick them up.
Yeah.
Do it the first time, then, but
It takes us
she'll
a
learn.
while to catch on.
She'll learn one day. We can only hope anyway.
And I know for our entrepreneurs or coaches listening into this episode, you have a special gift for them, an automation guide.
Yes, to get started on the client journey. And it takes you from qualifying them, it takes you through a good portion of the client journey, this guide, and it tells you how many emails to send for parts of it, what the subject of the email could be. It summarizes what you should write in that email. It talks a little bit about how to use AI to help you write the emails.
I love.
And if you go to my website, which is guppyfishweb.com/guide, you'll find it. So, and a little bit about the guppy thing, I meant to mention this earlier. When your last name is Carps, it's a little bit hard to get away from fish references. So you may as well just embrace it. So yeah, so guppy fish is the whole thing. But yeah, guppyfishweb.com/guide. And you'll find the automation guide. I worked really hard on making sure that it helps people get started and gives you all of the tools that you need to get going with it.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for that. And we'll also link that in the show notes so it'll be easy to
Awesome.
find. And then, Karen, what would be the one thing to wrap up this episode that anyone listening, whether it's an entrepreneur, a business professional, a parent, whoever's listening to this, what's the one thing that we should all go do right away? The first thing that we should do to incorporate into our life or work to build in some automation?
Okay. If you find yourself doing something more than once, figure out how you can automate it.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's an email that you write to your child's teacher, if it's an email anything that you do in your work, if you realize this is something that if the second time you do it,
Yeah.
be like, ask yourself how you could automate that.
Yeah.
How could I make this process better so that it happens more automatically and so that I am not spending time doing the same thing over and over and over? Because that's time I could be spending helping people. That's time I could be spending with my family. That's time that I could be spending being generous. That's,
Mhm.
whatever the mundane, repeated things are, see if there's a way you can automate them.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing with us how to get more of our brain space back, get more time back, and more peace of mind through automation.
Yes, it's again, I just want everyone to realize how much it could help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for braving the inside of your mind with me. The better we understand ourselves, the more deeply we understand the world, and as our awareness grows, life just gets better and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review and share this with anyone else you think could benefit from listening. A quick reminder that the content shared in this podcast is for informational purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, and the discussions here are not a substitute for professional advice. If you're dealing with a specific issue or need personalized guidance, please consult with a qualified professional. Your well-being is important, and this podcast is simply a platform for sharing insights and experiences. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Until next time.